Hey guys, I'm outside the courthouse in Boise, Idaho. This is where the Bryan Kohberger sentencing was today. We just got hundreds of pages of new documents that were just released by Moscow PD, investigative documents we've never seen before. I'm going to go through all the new details with you in this episode. I was in court today. I was sitting right in the courtroom, right near the family members. I'll let you know all the key elements from court today, everything from the documents, everything from court. I'm going to sit on the step right here. And tell you guys everything that happened today. All right, so as you can imagine, it was a long, emotional day here. Crazy. It's been 2.5 years, and this is how it all ended. First of all, I just want to say my heart goes out to the family members of Kaylee, Maddie, Xana, and Ethan. They showed such incredible strength and composure throughout this entire thing, and it's really just incredible. So I want to start by saying that. I'm going to get to everything again that happened in court. I'm going to walk you through the whole process. To get here super early to get in, I'm going to give you all the details on that. But first, I want to go through. We just got a whole treasure trove of documents from Moscow Police Department. They had a press conference earlier. The chief said we're going to upload a ton of documents that the media will be able to get this afternoon, and they did it. And we have a whole team that's been going through them nonstop. Trying to highlight anything that's new. I'm sure this is going to be the first of many document dumps, but I want to go through, and some of this stuff is hard to talk about and listen to, and the details are difficult, and again, I think of the families. But I'm going to go through here some of this stuff that just came out in these new documents. Need these reading glasses now that I turned 40. So these are police reports that came from an officer, one of the first officers who responded to the scene. And we've now got the reports of exactly what they saw when they arrived. The officer wrote, this is from 112 King Road, of course, after the murders, when the officers arrived. In a third floor bedroom, I observed two females laying in bed, which appeared to have been stabbed to death. The female laying on the left half of the bed, as I looked at it from the doorway, was unrecognizable. Her face was completely disfigured and was stabbed several times. I was unable to comprehend exactly what I was looking at while trying to discern the nature of the injuries. The second female on the right half of the bed had multiple stab wounds. The comforter was soaked in blood and a pool of blood was present. This is from another one of the police reports. I looked inside the bedroom Xana was laying, and it was obvious an intense struggle had occurred. Xana was obviously deceased. There was blood smeared on various items in the room and all over the floor. There was a blood cast off on the walls in various places, including above Xana's body. Xana was on her back on the floor in the center of the room with her head towards the west. Xana was in her underwear and a long-sleeved gray shirt. Both her shirt and underwear were covered in blood. Xana's face and body was covered in dried blood. I could see what appeared to be defensive knife wounds on Xana's hands. There was a deep gash on Xana's left hand between her pointer finger and her thumb. So defensive knife wounds would indicate to me that they believe that Xana somehow fought back. Another report says, Kaylee and Madison were covered by a pink blanket, which was covered in blood. There was a large pool of blood near Kaylee's midsection. Madison appeared to be laying up against Kaylee. Madison had what appeared to be wounds to her forearm and hands. Madison had a gash under her right eye, which appeared to go from the corner of her eye to her nose. Kaylee was unrecognizable as her facial structure was extremely damaged. I think this explains why the Gonzalez's why all the families are so heartbroken. I know the Gonzalez's met with the prosecution yesterday, the day before the sentencing. They got more information. I was in touch with them. They were very upset after that meeting by the details that they had learned, just heartbroken, and this is some of what they've learned. I mean, for them to have to hear that Kaylee's face was unrecognizable is just, there are no words. There's no words. So this is from another report where they're interviewing someone who knows Kaylee about something that Kaylee had told them. And I'm going to kind of hop around here because we went through all these different reports. And this person just goes by Jay. Jay then told me where she had heard from others that Kaylee had seen some random guy behind the house when she took Murphy out to go pee. Jay also heard of an incident where some random guy followed Kaylee around Winco and followed her out of the store, and she thought he tried to get into her car. Jay was not sure for sure who she heard from, but B&D could tell us more. I thought that was interesting. I know from Olivia, when I've talked to her, that she said that Kaylee was afraid of a stalker. I'm going to tell you more about the press conference today in a minute, but police did say that they don't have any evidence that it was one of the girls that was targeted, and they don't believe that there was any connection between Bryan Kohberger and any of the girls. They've never officially said before that there was no social media connection. They confirmed that today. So that is new and that is significant. Again, some of this stuff is really difficult. I'm going to read you. These are the autopsy results, and we've never had this before. It's public record now. Obviously, we would never show the photos. We would never have access to the photos, but I do want to explain to you the extent of the injuries. Ethan Chapin's fatal injury was from a stab wound under his left clavicle, which severed his subclavian vein, I hope I'm saying this right, and subclavian artery, and also his jugular vein was severed. Ethan only had sharp force injuries. Xana Kernodle's fatal injuries were from one laceration in her right lung and 2 lacerations in her heart. Kernodle had 50 plus stab wounds, mostly defensive. Xana only had sharp force injuries. Madison Mogen's fatal injuries included a left lung laceration and a liver laceration. Madison only had sharp force injuries. Kaylee Gonzalez's fatal injuries included a left lung laceration, a liver laceration, 2 subdural bleeds, and a stab behind her clavicle, which cut her subclavian vein. Again, I'm sorry, you guys will message me, I'm sure I said that wrong. An artery. Kaylee had signs of sharp force injuries, asphyxial injuries, and blunt force injuries. Kaylee had 20 stab wounds. So Kaylee had 20 stab wounds. Xana had 50 plus stab wounds. I mean, just brutal. This guy was just I don't want to curse, but a monster. So that was what was new today from the reports with the autopsy. This is another section of new documents that we found that's new. This is what an inmate was saying about Bryan Kohberger. So they apparently interviewed some inmates. Kohberger, of course, was in the jail in Latah County first, which is where Moscow is. Then he was in the jail here in Boise. He was transferred here because when the trial got transferred here. And then soon he'll be sent to the prison system here in Idaho. But this is what inmates were saying about Bryan Kohberger. An inmate in the same facility as Kohberger stated he is a fucking weirdo and said if he wasn't worried about legal repercussions, he would have physically assaulted Kohberger. When asked if he thinks Kohberger is guilty, the inmate said, his Kohberger eyes tell a story. A lot of you guys have mentioned the eyes. I've noticed his eyes. I'm going to tell you about what he looked like in court today, but interesting that was from an inmate. This is from another inmate. Inmate who was housed next to Kohberger from August 2024 to September 2024 at Latah County Jail said Kohberger was the smartest person he had encountered while in confinement, but became annoying because of habits like washing his hands dozens of times per day and spending 45 minutes to 1 hour in the shower. He said Kohberger would be awake all night and only take a nap during the day. He said he could hear Kohberger moving around all night. So kind of interesting to hear those things from some of the inmates, and again, that came from the new documents. So I want to walk you through really quickly the press conference. There was a press conference after, then I'll get to court. Just this kind of relates to some of the investigative stuff. I told you already, Moscow police never found a link on social media between Kohberger and the victims. They have no information about where Kohberger's clothes or knife are, so they said they have no idea. Like, they don't know where the knife is, and they don't know where his clothes are from that day. And I asked a question at the press conference, do you think that there may have been another murder weapon used, and the police flat out said no other murder weapon used. K-bar knife was the only murder weapon. Papa Roger, this is big because we've all talked about this. Papa Roger's social media account not connected to Bryan Kohberger, period. They did investigation. They confirmed Papa Roger's social media account is not connected to Bryan Kohberger. And the Idaho Attorney General today called the murders one of the darkest crimes in Idaho history. The prosecutor talked a lot about, he was very emotional about the whole thing. He was choking up at the presser again when he was thanking his teams and all the different agencies. They all worked together. He went in detail about all of that. In terms of court today, got here super early. The line wrapped around the building. We were let in. And some people stayed here the whole night. I was nervous about getting a seat. I ended up getting a seat. Went through security. Got upstairs. We were put into a holding room. You get given, I don't think I have my little white ticket anymore, but they gave us a little white ticket if you were able to make it in. So waited in the holding room for a while. We got into the courtroom. It's interesting. All the media sat on one side of the courtroom and all the families were on the other side. And for some reason, they sat me right in the middle of all the families, which you guys know I'm pretty close to the families, especially the Gonsalves family. And I was right behind the Gonsalves family. So I don't know, it was nice to be close to them, I guess. I don't know if that's the right word. I was, I was able to say hi to Olivia and I don't know. I felt a little more, I was nervous about the whole thing, honestly. And I knew it was going to be emotional. I've been so invested in this case. Maybe I just felt more comfortable being over there by them because I've got to know them all. So hearing started, everyone was kind of on pins and needles. It immediately became very emotional. I know it was the most emotional, I think the most emotional situation I've ever been in my entire life. You could only see the cameras from the live feed, but where I was sitting in the middle of all the families, they were all sobbing the whole time and holding each other and crying and holding hands and rubbing each other's shoulders. But just that constant sound of whimpering throughout the entire thing was really just heartbreaking. And the way the families were supporting each other was really, really touching. And again, they're just so strong. They're all so strong. The Kohbergers, Bryan Kohberger's mom was there, and Bryan Kohberger's sister was there. I did not see his dad there today. His dad was at the plea hearing. They were on the other side though, and where I was sitting behind the Gonsalveses, I kind of had to peer around this pillar to see them and to see Bryan Kohberger. So a ton of family members spoke. I have the whole live stream on the YouTube channel if you want to go back and watch. Dylan Mortensen, first of all, this woman is so incredibly strong with what she's been through to be the surviving roommate. And she was sobbing before she even got up there. And the bravery it took for her to go, walk up, sit in that chair, and she took a moment to compose herself. And she was shaking. I could see her shaking. And she so bravely made her statement and just broke down. And she came back and she was sitting I was sitting behind the Gonsalveses. She was sitting in front of the Gonsalveses. She came back in and she sat down, and I assume it was her mom. They just went into this hug and she was in hysterics, Dylan. And her mom was then hysterical. And then people sitting behind her were putting their hands on her shoulder, and she was shaking. She was literally she was uncontrollably shaking. And again, I just kept thinking about what she's been through and the bravery it took, not only to speak to the court, but to speak with Bryan Kohberger sitting right there and make eye contact with him, the man who killed all of your friends and had this impact on your life. So I want to play for you the full, I think it's important to, I want to play for you the full Dylan Mortensen victim impact statement. And I just think, I don't know, I'm just blown away by her strength. And I think it shows, we think so much about the victims' families, which are obviously important and have been through hell. But think about Dylan and Bethany. So listen to what Dylan said.
What happened that night changed everything. Because of him, 4 beautiful, genuine, compassionate people were taken from this world for no reason. He didn't just take their lives. He took the light they carried into every room. He took away how they made everyone feel loved and full of joy. He took away the ability for me to tell them that I love them and that I'm so proud of them. He took away who they were becoming and the futures they were going to have. He took away birthdays, graduations, celebrations, and all the memories that we were supposed to make. All of it is gone. And all the people who love them are just left to carry that weight forever. He didn't just take them from the world. He took them from me, my friends, my people who felt like my home, the people I looked up to and adored more than anyone. He took away my ability to trust the world around me. What he did shattered me in places I didn't know could break. I was barely 19 when he did this. We had just celebrated my birthday at the end of September. I should have been figuring out who I was. I should have been having the college experience and starting to establish my future. Instead, I was forced to learn how to survive the unimaginable. I couldn't be alone. I had to sleep in my mom's bed because I was too terrified to close my eyes. Terrified that if I blinked, someone might be there. I made escape plans everywhere I went. If something happens, how do I get out? What can I use to defend myself? Who can help? And then there are the panic attacks. The kind that slam into me like a tsunami out of nowhere. I can't breathe. I can't think. I can't stop shaking. All I can do is scream because the emotional pain and the grief is too much to handle. My chest feels like it's caving in. Sometimes I drop to the floor with my heart racing, convinced something is very wrong. It's far beyond anxiety. It's my body reliving everything over and over again. My nervous system never got the message that it is over, and it won't let me forget what he did to them. People call me strong. They say I'm a survivor, but they don't see what my new reality looks like. They don't see the panic attacks, the hypervigilance, the exhaustion, the way I scan every room I enter, the way I flinch at sudden sounds. They don't know how heavy it is to carry so much pain and still be expected to keep going, and that's because of him. He stole parts of me I may never get back. He took the version of me who didn't constantly ask, what if it happens again? What if next time I don't survive? He may have shattered parts of me, but I'm still putting myself back together. Piece by piece, I'm learning how to live in this new version of life. It is not easy. It hurts, but I'm still trying. Still trying, and I'm not trying just for me. I'm trying for them, my friends. About a year ago, I had a dream about them. I got to say goodbye. I told them I won't be able to see you again, so I need to tell you goodbye. They all kept asking why, and all I could say was, I can't tell you, but I have to. When I woke up, I felt shattered and heartbroken, but also strangely grateful. Like maybe in some way that dream gave us the goodbye we never got. Still, no dream can replace them, and no goodbye will ever feel finished. He is a hollow vessel, something less than human. A body without empathy, without remorse. He chose destruction. He chose evil. He feels nothing. He tried to take everything from me. My friends, my safety, my identity, my future. He took their lives, but I will continue trying to be like them, to make them proud. Living is how I honor them. Speaking today is to help me find some sort of justice for them. And I will never let him take that from me. He may have taken so much from me, but he will never get to take my voice. He will never take the memories I had with them. He will never erase the love we shared, the laughs we had, or the way they made me feel seen and whole. Those things are mine. They are sacred, and he will never touch them. I get to feel sadness. I get to feel rage. I get to feel joy even when it's hard. I get to feel love even when it hurts. I get to live. And while I will still live with this pain, at least I get to live my life. He will stay here, empty, forgotten, and powerless.
So that was a lot when Dylan spoke. And every single speech was highly emotional. I'm not gonna lie. I mean, I got choked up several times. I think you'd have to be like not human not to feel a very high level of emotion in court today. Olivia Gonzalez also spoke. That's Kaylee's sister. And just for full transparency, and I haven't really spoken about this, I've gotten to know most of the families in one degree or another. Olivia is someone who I feel that I've gotten close to. Of course, I'm a reporter. It's a reporter relationship. I'm not going to say she's like my friend. But I care for Olivia, and, we have been in touch a lot throughout this whole thing. And I knew that she wanted to address Bryan Kohberger directly. She had told me that. And she was concerned, was it going to be allowed? But she didn't want to, give him anything by showing her grief or by talking all about Kaylee she told me she didn't want it to be like a funeral for Kaylee. She wanted to address him, and she did. And this woman, Olivia, is a badass. I mean, she is a badass. And, Steve Gonzalez is really, is a strong guy, and he holds that family up, but so does Olivia. Behind the scenes, you guys don't see it as much, because Steve does a lot of the talking, but Olivia is holding that family together in a lot of ways. And so she spoke to Bryan Kohberger. I mean, she locked eyes with Bryan Kohberger. They all did, but she stared that man in the eyes, and he stared back at her, and she laid into him. And people clapped at the end, and she laid into him. So again, just like with Dylan, I want you to see the full Olivia Gonzalez victim impact statement.
My name is Olivia, and I'm the big sister of Kaylee Gonzalez, and I was blessed to love Madison Mogan as a sister too. I'm not here today to speak in grief. I'm here to speak in truth. Because the truth is, my sister Kaylee and her best friend Maddie were not yours to take. They were not yours to study, to stalk, or to silence. They were two pieces of a whole, the perfect yin and yang. They are everything that you could never be. Loved, accepted, vibrant, accomplished, brave, and powerful. Because the truth about Kaylee and Maddie is they would have been kind to you. If you had approached them in their everyday lives, they would have given you directions, thanked you for the compliment, or awkwardly giggled to make your own words less uncomfortable for you. In a world that rejected you, they would have shown mercy. Because the truth is, I'm angry. Every day I'm angry. I'm left shouting at the inside of my own head everything I wish I could say to you. The truth about me is when I heard the news, I didn't cry. I listened for them. I promised them I would, that I would fight for them, that I would show up no matter what it cost me. I swore I'd never let them feel alone. Because you see, I've always been their heavyweight. I've always been the one to fight the battles they didn't feel ready to fight themselves. All it ever took was a call, and they knew I would handle it for them, no matter the time, no matter the cost. They could wave their white flag because they knew I would never back down, not for them, and not even death could change that. Somewhere along the line, I started to think about what I would say to them if I was given just one last chance. If I could gather enough heartbreak or love or sacrifice or whatever it took to get just one message across, what would I say? Throughout this entire process, I've written my feelings down at every moment, my wishes, my love, my denial, my anger. And as one final act of love, I'd planned to read these thoughts, even jarring and discombobulating and not even making sense. Because for me, that was true love. As bare and as naked as it could be, not laced in pretty words or dressed for the occasion, but written through bleary eyes at 2 a.m. with clenched fists, angry at this reality. My true final act of love was to continue on without them, for them. That dream to read aloud my love to them, to bring meaning through pain, was the latest blow in realizing you don't deserve it. And Kaylee and Maddie don't need it. Kaylee and Maddie have always known my love, and they would never ask me to prove it by further victimizing myself to a defendant who has shown no guilt, no remorse, no apprehension. They would say to me, "Why would you give the satisfaction of showing vulnerability now? You promised you would never back down." And for that clarity, I'm thankful. I won't stand here and give you what you want. I won't offer you tears. I won't offer you trembling. Disappointments like you thrive on pain, on fear, and on the illusion of power. And I won't feed your beast. Instead, I will call you what you are: sociopath, psychopath, murderer. I will ask the questions that reverberate violently in my own head, so loudly that I can't think straight most any day. Some of these might be familiar, so sit up straight when I talk to you. How was your life right before you murdered my sisters? Did you prepare for the crime before leaving your apartment? Please detail what you were thinking and feeling at this time. Why did you choose my sisters? Before making your move, did you approach my sisters? Detail what you were thinking and feeling. Before leaving their home, is there anything else you did? How does it feel to know the only thing you failed more miserably at than being a murderer is trying to be a rapper? Did you recently start shaving or manually pulling out your eyebrows? Why November 13th? Did you truly think your Amazon purchase was untraceable because you used a gift card? How do you find it enjoyable to stargaze with such a severe case of visual snow? Where is the murder weapon, the clothes you wore that night? What did you bring into the house with you? What was the second weapon you used on Kaylee? What were Kaylee's last words? Please describe in detail the level of anxiety you must have felt when you heard the Bearcat pull up to your family home on December 30th, 2022. Which do you regret more? Returning to the crime scene 5 hours later, or never, ever going back to Moscow, not even once? after stalking them there for months. If you were really smart, do you think you'd be here right now? What's it like needing this much attention just to feel real? You're terrified of being ordinary, aren't you? Do you feel anything at all? Or are you exactly what you always feared? Nothing. If you're so powerful, then why are you still hiding, defendant? You see, I'm here today as me. But who are you? Let's try to take off your mask and see. You didn't create devastation. You revealed it in yourself. And that darkness you carry, that emptiness, you'll sit with it long after this is over. That is your sentence. And it was written on the wall long before you ever pled guilty. You didn't win. You just exposed yourself as the coward you are. You're a delusional, pathetic, hypochondriac loser who thought you were so much smarter than everybody else. Constantly scolding, turning your nose up to grammar mistakes, nitpicking and criticizing others. You wanted so badly to be different, to be special, to be better, to be deep, to be mysterious. You found yourself thinking you were better than everyone else, and you thought you could figure out the human psyche and see through it, all while tweaked out on heroin. Lurking in the shadows made you feel powerful because no one ever paid you any attention in the light. You thought you were exceptional, all because of a grade on a paper. You thought you were elite because your online IQ test from 2010 told you so. All of that effort just to seem important. It's desperate. There is a name for your condition, though. Your inflated ego just didn't allow you to see it. Wannabe. You act like no one could ever understand your mind, but the truth is you're basic. You're a textbook case of insecurity disguised as control. Your patterns are predictable. Your motives are shallow. You are not profound. You're pathetic. You aren't special or deep, not mysterious or exceptional. Don't ever get it twisted again. No one is scared of you today. No one is intimidated by you. No one is impressed by you. No one thinks that you are important. You orchestrated this like you thought you were God. Now look at you, begging a courtroom for scraps. You spent months preparing, and still all it took was my sister in a sheath. You work so hard to seem dangerous, but real control doesn't have to prove itself. The truth is, the scariest part about you is how painfully average you turned out to be. The truth is, you're as dumb as they come. Stupid, clumsy, slow, sloppy, weak, dirty. Let me be very clear. Don't ever try to convince yourself you mattered just because someone finally said your name out loud. I see through you. You want the truth? Here's the one you'll hate the most. If you hadn't attacked them in their sleep, in the middle of the night, like a pedophile, Kaylee would have kicked your fucking ass. Thank you.
Thank you.
So after all this, after Olivia speaks, after they all speak, all the families except for Ethan Chapins, who decided not to be here, wanted to be out with just their family today. The judge asks Bryan Kohberger, first asks Ann Taylor if she wants to make an argument or anything. She says no. Then he directly asks Bryan Kohberger if he has anything to say, and he said he respectfully declines to make a statement. And where I was sitting in the middle of the families, you know, they were just like coward, jackass. They were really, I think they wanted some kind of remorse. I mean, who wouldn't? Especially after they put their hearts out there like that during the victim impact statements. They wanted him to show some remorse. And I did too. Everybody did. You couldn't help it just sitting there. Like, finally, like, effing say something, you like psychopath, you know? Like, give these families something. And he didn't. And he didn't show any emotion either. I mean, he had this weird jaw thing that he would do that if you were sitting close, you could see. but I think that was just like a nervous tick or something. He didn't even really nod along when they were talking. So he didn't show remorse. He didn't show emotion. I can't say that I'm surprised. I went into this thinking that he wasn't going to talk. But honestly, after Olivia's speech and some of the others that were directing him, that were at him directly, I thought to myself, maybe he's going to change his mind. Maybe they did break through to this like psychopath killer and he's going to want to say something, but he didn't. He didn't say anything. I can't say I'm surprised. And so that was it. Sentenced to life in prison, has to pay some fines, which is weird to pay, has to pay back the funeral. I don't even know if he has the money, has to pay back the funeral bills. I mean, think about this, the families have to submit their funeral receipts. It's almost like a work expense report. So, oh yeah, just submit your kid's funeral receipts. That just struck me as odd. I'm glad that he's gonna have to pay for it, but just, I don't know, can you go find the receipts and you'll be reimbursed for your kid's funeral who was murdered. The whole thing is unthinkable, and again, my heart goes out to the families. That's really the latest on today. We're expecting to get more documents probably tomorrow, and when we get them, I'll go through them too. It's a lot to go through, so it takes time, and we're going to go through the ones that came out again today just to make sure we didn't miss anything. So I'm in Idaho, I'm in Boise. I'm actually going to go to Moscow. I've got a few loose ends there that I want to look into. But thank you guys for following along. I know it was emotional for you guys too, for all of us who have been invested in this case. Nothing compared to what the families of the victims are going through, not even 1%. But still, even for me as a journalist, again, I choked up today. I've become very invested in all of this. I really have. And I've become very invested in some of these families, and all the families, but especially the ones that I've gotten to know. And just like with other cases I've covered, like with Gabby Petito's case and so many others that aren't as high profile, I mean, I'll stay in touch with them. I'm not the kind of person who's just going to move on.
For more true crime, subscribe below to Bryan Enton Investigates and follow him on Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram today.